Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It has been quite a while since I made a video, and I do apologize for that, especially for those new subscribers that have just hopped on, and for that I do thank you guys. When I last checked, we were up to about 315 subscribers, which is great. I haven't been putting out a lot of content lately because I have been way too busy actually being outside and enjoying the outdoors. I've been kayaking, motorcycling, little bit of shooting here and there, but not a whole lot on the shooting end just because of the ammo shortage. But today I've got a very short video for you guys. I'm hoping to make this whole thing under 15 minutes long or so, which for me is kind of short. We are going to be forming some 300 Blackout brass. I am in the process of building a 300 Blackout AR pistol. I don't have quite all the parts yet. When I do, we'll talk about that. We'll go over the build and why I decided to go that particular route. But for now, we're going to try to make some 300 Blackout brass out of 223 brass. I have probably 2,000 to 2,500 pieces of 223 brass laying around, and I'm not going to load all that up into 223, so I'm probably going to take a couple hundred pieces anyway, eventually, and form into 300 Blackout brass, now that I've realized how easy it is to do. Johnny's Reloading Bench, several of the other YouTube reloading channels are going to have videos on this as well, but this is just the process that I found worked really well for me, and it's surprisingly easy. I'm not going to anneal anything because I don't have the know-how or the equipment to do that right now. Yeah, I could probably do the propane torch and spinning it method, but really I don't see any benefit to doing that when I can't tell if I'm actually getting it annealed or not. You guys are going to notice just a little bit different format today than what I usually do in my kind of how-to videos. And that is because I'm not learning this as we go. And that's something I got complained about quite a bit when I first started, is that the videos were kind of slow paced. I didn't seem to know what I was doing. And that's because I didn't. I was actually going through and bringing you guys along as I learned the different steps. Well, today I've already done this about 50 times. I've already made about 50 pieces of 300 Blackout brass total with this process, so I kind of know what I'm doing and can at least relay that to you guys. So here's what we're doing. You can see over on this side I have some formed 300 Blackout brass right there, and some 223 brass that we'll be turning into 300 Blackout brass. The first step in sizing is to take the 223 brass and cut that part off. And if you guys follow my Instagram account, which is the Outdoor Generalist channel on Instagram, that whole big long thing spelled out, you'll see a picture of this kind of part way through. This is once fired Fiocchi brass. I found it to be pretty decent brass so far. I have another couple of trays of this that I've reloaded 223 in the past, and it's been just fine. So let's take these 5 pieces and we will turn them into our 300 Blackout brass, step by step. The way I'm doing this is not super precise by any means, and it doesn't have to be, because we're going to trim everything down later. So let me take a piece of brass and I'll set it against my guide here. All I did was lined up 2 pieces of wood and clamped them down so that the edge of the board hits just about there on the shoulder. And then I'm going to space the cutoff blade of my Dremel just a little bit away from the block of wood, and I'm going to just hold this there. And I'm going to make my cut to be right on, the part of the case just below the shoulder there. So let's run through these 5 pieces. Again, I'm going to space this just off my board and turn it on. Now this is not going to be the safest way, because you can see my fingers are kind of close to that spinning wheel. But I'll just move this in here. And when I'm doing this, I am wearing a mask and eye protection, because this does throw some brass dust, very fine brass dust. Okay, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to do that 5 more times here, or 4 more times. And we'll shut her down there. Alright, so you can see it kind of leaves that piece hanging off at the end, which is fine, and I'm going to be careful because this is hot. And just pluck that right off. You can see that that cutting process left a very harsh edge on there with all kinds of burrs. So we're just going to run it through the Frankfurt Arsenal case, trim, and prep center. And that'll leave us a nice clean surface to go up into our die. Now you'll notice it's not completely straight, and it doesn't have to be. We're going to do some trimming later, and it will make that not be a factor. So after we've got the edges knocked off, I'm going to go right to the sizing die. I went with a Lee pace setter die set for 300 Blackout because it was the best deal I could find. I normally go with these Hornady sets because you get 100 free bullets with them, which usually makes them a really good deal because I kind of like these Hornady interlock bullets that they have on their free bullets list, and these are ones we'll be using in 300 Blackout. The ones that I have here, I think I have 300 of them left, something like that. They're the 150 grain, 30 cal interlock bullets, and I got 500 of those free with the press setup. So we're still working on using those. That Lee pace setter die set comes with the sizing die here. It comes with a seating die and the factory crimp die, which I was going to buy anyway. It also comes with a powder scoop and a shell holder. So it's actually a really good deal for the whole set. I think this was like 30 bucks. They also gave a sample pack of the Lee resizing lubricant, which I've used for forming this brass so far, and it's not bad at all. So I'll just take the case we've got here and we'll get a little lube on it. Just a little bit, and I probably got too much on my finger there. I just need a little bit right around the neck. These cases have already been sized in a 223 die, of course, before I cut them down. So they're already body sized for the most part. We're just working that neck. Get it up there, and it presses up really easily, comes back out really easily. And there you can see we've got a piece of 300 Blackout brass, pretty much, but it's got a really long neck on it, which we'll have to trim off in a second here. I'll go ahead and lube up and run through the rest of these 4 cases. And there we've got 5 pieces of brass ready to trim down. 300 Blackout brass is kind of a pain to trim in the prep center, but I'll show you how I do it. So we're back over at the prep center. Let me pull this head apart and show you why this is a little bit difficult. The reason this is so difficult with this particular prep center is that it spaces off of the shoulder of the case. Now with 300 Blackout, there's not a whole lot of shoulder there. It is just barely there. And the closest size of ring that comes with this sits down past the shoulder. Let me see if you can see it there. Yeah, so it actually squeezes way on down and doesn't stop at a consistent spot when you put it on there. The next size smaller simply won't fit over the neck. It just won't go. So instead of just sticking the case in and letting it go, I actually have to measure each one, which can be just a little bit tricky. I've ruined 5 or 6 pieces just by going too short. Let me get this back together. And I'm gauging by moving the case in and out, setting it up just like I always do. You can see it sticks in there quite a ways anyway. I should have you where you can see that. You can see it sticks in there quite a ways, so you don't really have much room to get your finger on. But what I do is kind of eyeball it by how much of it is sticking out. So we are looking for a trim length of 1.358 inches, and we're starting out somewhere around 1.395 inches. Some I've had are even just a little bit longer than that. And those aren't going to be super close together because we're just hacking them off with the Dremel pretty much. So let me stick this in here and we'll give it a whirl. And we are taking off quite a bit of brass here. And you can see that it's rotating a little bit. Just a little bit hard to hold on to. All right, let's check and see where we're at on length. .38. So we've got 20 thousandths or so to go. And I'm just eyeballing that by how much is sticking out. Usually end up doing this a couple of times. 1.373. I'm happy with between 1.358, which is the trim length, and 1.362. So we've got about 5 thousandths more to go. And let's hope I didn't go too far. Nope, I've got 1.360, which is perfect. So I'll go ahead and run that over the chamfer and deburr. There's going to be quite a bit of burr on there because we did take off a lot of material. And there you can see we've got a finished piece of 300 Blackout brass ready to load. So let me go through and do this for the rest of them. Alright, and that took way less time than I thought it would to have 5 pieces of completed 300 Blackout brass. And I can tell you, I loaded 10 of these up the other day and fired them through my upper, and they ran just fine. I'm going to be making quite a bit more of it because I have a ton of 223 brass, and 300 Blackout brass is kind of hard to find right now. So I'm going to be making quite a bit more of this. Because of how difficult that trimming process was, I have gone ahead and ordered the Lee cutter and lock stud and then the 300 Blackout case length gauge kit to trim 300 Blackout brass, and that should make it a whole lot quicker and easier than trying to measure several times on the sizing of each case. I have had fairly good luck with it. I've only ruined about 8 pieces of brass after sizing somewhere around 60, so that's not too bad, and I've gotten better as I went, obviously. And that's the process of making 300 Blackout brass. It's really that easy, guys. I am glad that I went ahead and took the leap and tried it instead of just ordering a bunch of 300 Blackout brass and putting it on back order because it's not available right now, when I've got plenty of 223 brass already available on hand. If you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got more stuff like this and some 300 Blackout load workups and all of that coming later. Like I said, if you guys like this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Check out the Instagram page at the Outdoor Generalist channel. And also search for us on Patreon if you want to donate to the bullet testing fund. I would sure appreciate that. Don't have anybody signed up on there yet. If we could even get 2 or 3 people on there, that would help to let me test several different bullets in lots of different calibers. I'd love to test like 178 grain ELD in the 308. Want to do some 140s and 147 grain testing in 6.5 Creedmoor, maybe some light stuff in 6.5 Grendel, bunch of stuff I haven't got to yet, but that I would really like to. And that could be possible if just a few people jumped on board and donated a couple of bucks a month to help me buy some more bullets to do testing with. Anyway, thank you guys for watching again, and have a good one.